Guitar nerds, my peoples. Okay, today we're going to talk about the diminished scale. When we're talking about blues, diminished, dominant, and we're going to talk about playing it over the one. We're going to talk about going actually more from the 1 to the 4 and connecting. You can use chromatics and you can use your melodic from the 5th degree, and I like using my diminished. It kind of creates tension. I think the diminished scale is the tension, and when you learn about your minor thirds and your major thirds and your altered fifths, you start to learn how to, what's beautiful and what's dark, and the diminished scale has both. That's what I love. It's a really cool dynamic to your painting, to your song, to your solo, to your story. And again, it can be played over the 1. I usually use it in the last 4 beats, in the last measure, before going to the 4. So I'll show you the scale, and then I'll tab it out so you guys have it. And then I'll show you a couple patterns and how they can fit into your kind of pentatonic patterns and scales. And then I'll show you the arpeggio, and then I'll talk to you about the minor third device, so you can play those diminished licks anywhere on the neck and stay in key. So the scale is a half step, whole step, half step, whole step. I believe it's made up, or the chord is made up of the root, the flat third, the flat fifth, and the flat 7. But if you guys want more on theory, I can do that. This is more for people who have understood some of it, or looked into these scales, understanding scales, and want to know how to utilize them and where to play them. So again, the diminished is made up of half steps. So we're going A for simplicity. We've kind of been playing narrow move here. So we got A, and then a half step, whole step, 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 half step, right? We got a whole step, half step, whole step, half step. I'm going to the B. Remember, the B is to the 3rd degree, not the 4th, so you got to adjust for that, right? We got a whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. And the scale starts on a half step, ends on a half step, and then goes back. And make sure you practice going back and forth. It's hard. I probably need to practice it more, but I have got into phrasing now, and I don't think about it like that. I don't think about it like a scale. I don't play my pentatonics up and down. I don't play like, you gotta understand when you're rooting and suspense and what story you're telling, right? So, again, right, so, and maybe what we'll do first is we'll jump into, before the arpeggio, we'll show you another pattern, and if you did it again, you could go half step, right, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, and you can kind of figure out, more of where the notes are. But a pattern that I like is, when you're thinking in the pentatonic box, just take you out of the box a little bit, is you can play into the diminished, right? And I'll put that up in a tab as well. But what that does is it gives you just a couple different notes that you can think about, right? Anyways, and you can play them in your blues to kind of change things up. And the next thing you got is the arpeggio. So it's, again, I'll tab it out, put A, right? And you're just skipping the half and then going to that, right? So you're not playing the half step, whole step here, right? tab that one out for you as well. Sorry, I was kind of leaned over there, so I'll play it one more time here for you. But the arpeggio. Tab that, but that arpeggio is kind of a cool run when you're going from like here, you know, you're and yeah, I'll record some videos showing you some lines you can play. But before we do that, I'll talk about the minor third. So where you can kind of take these diminished and put them anywhere on the neck and stay in key. So we're in the key of A. We'll take the A triad. Right? And if you take the first two notes in the A triad, right, on the G and B string, which is your C sharp and your E note, those are the first two notes in your minor third arpeggio. Okay, so if you move those up a half step and then a whole step, that's your minor third. Okay. What's that? Half step, whole step, that's you moving in your minor thirds, right? So the diminished arpeggio is a minor third. You're moving the minor thirds, right? Minor third arpeggio, But anyways, so if you know your minor thirds, right? And you just move in your minor thirds, right? Again, half step, whole, right? You got your minor thirds in your head. You can now play your diminished anywhere if you play them moving up in minor thirds. So a blues note that a lot of guys don't know is diminished, so you can play that a minor third, and again, and you can resolve on the triad. Right, and that's the root, and then you can resolve on the minor third. Yeah, you can do that. And I learned that from Robin Ford. He's the man with all the diminished and the minor thirds. He taught me, you know, watching his videos over and over again, you know, moving in the minor thirds, the triads, I mean, all this info. And I have books and pages, so if anybody wants theory, I can reiterate it all to you and try and help you understand the best that I can. Yeah, so that ties in the first kind of part of the series here. So we're learning to play over the 1 chord, and now we learn to go diminished to the 4 chord and the minor third device, so we can kind of play that diminished anywhere and stay in the key of A. And now we're going to talk, or the next video we're going to talk about playing over the 4 chord. Wunderbar. And I'm German. Sprechen Sie Deutsch, my friends. Wie geht's? And ich liebe dich means I love you guys. Ciao, ciao.